Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to my beautiful desk. It's been tabador a month since I've presented a video from this wonderful piece of Taiwanese design, but I must say it feels great to be back and I'm super excited to share today's video with you. But first, did you know that I have an Instagram and Facebook account where you can go follow me and keep up with my day-to-day activities following my life as a foreigner here in Taiwan. Not to mention an awesome Patreon with some exceptional benefits for members. All of the details of those accounts down in the description below. Go check them out if that's your cup of tea. But anyway, enough of that. Back to today's topic, which, as I mentioned, is an absolute corker, as we are going to be talking about one of everybody's favorite topics, and that is cold hard cash. Wonga, moolah, bread, dough, ka-ching, chen, yuan, however it is euphemistically referred to wherever you come from, we are going to be talking about money, and I'll be telling you exactly how much of the beautiful stuff each and every individual person in Taiwan has of it. And then I'll be comparing Taiwan's individual net wealth with some other countries around the world and here in Asia. And then hopefully I'll be able to explain my opinion as to why I think Taiwan ranks on the scale where they rank. So let's get straight into it and first of all talk about how this topic has actually ended up on the channel. And that's because recently during my trip to South Africa, I was scrolling through some of the English language Taiwanese news, and in the Taiwan news website, I came across a headline that I could hardly believe, which read, Taiwan ranked 4th in the world in terms of net wealth. Yeah, 4th. Now, admittedly, only 53 countries from around the world took part in this survey, but the majority of countries that we would probably be interested in comparing ourselves with were all included. And apparently, when it comes to measuring wealth in terms of net individual assets, Taiwan ranks 4th in the world. Now, before I give you the actual figures and the number, I thought we could play a little bit of a game in the comment section down below. Take a guess, write it in the comment section. What do you think the average typical person in Taiwan is worth in terms of net financial assets? That's including any investments, any houses, any companies that they own, money in the bank. How much do you think the average person on the street is worth here in Taiwan? Because I think the number might surprise you. I'll give you a second to go write your guess in the comment section down below before I give you the actual figure. But first, let me tell you the countries that were ahead of us. In first place was the USA, second place was Switzerland, and third place was Singapore. Probably no big surprises there, seeing that most of the biggest businessmen and women in the world are based in America and probably do their banking in Switzerland. And of course, we all know how much of a money magnet Singapore can be. But yes, after those three international financial powerhouses, this industrial little nation that I've been proud to call home for the past 12 years romped home in 4th place. And even though I'm probably one of the people that is pulling the average number down, when I read it, I was definitely a little bit proud, despite being a little bit surprised. So let's talk Turkey and take a look at that figure and see how much each person in Taiwan is actually worth. Because according to Allianz, the international finance company that carried out the survey, individual net wealth in Taiwan currently stands at 97,850 euros. That's about 3.3 million Taiwan dollars, or 2.7 trillion euros, basically divided between the population of 23 million people, and then takes into account some debts and other investments to come out with a net figure. Therefore, basically, everyone in Taiwan has $3.3 million, right? Therefore, in theory and statistically, you could take any random person in the street that you meet in Taiwan and safely assume that that person is worth the best part of $100,000 US. Of course, a very simplistic probably a little bit naive way to look at it, especially when you consider that studies like this are hugely swayed by the super rich, of which there are many in Taiwan. Another study, the Wealth Night Report of 2019, showed that there were 1,519 individuals in Taipei alone with net assets of $30 million or more. Therefore, we have to look at reports like this quite carefully and take their results with somewhat of a pinch of salt, because especially when you look at some countries that finished high on the list, USA, who finished top of the list with a net individual wealth of about 180,000 euros per person, they also have 12% of their population living below the poverty line, clearly showing that a high position on this list doesn't necessarily translate to the fact that all of your population are swimming in moolah. But having said this, these reports are published every year and are a good indicator of year-on-year growth, either within your own country or to compare against other countries. And interestingly, despite the world as a whole going backwards in net individual wealth for the first time since 2008, Taiwan was one of the few countries that actually increased its net individual wealth year on year, increasing 5.1% since the previous year. And while Asian neighbors China went backwards 3.4% with a net individual wealth of just over 10,000 euros, a mere 10% of Taiwan's, Japan also slipped back 1.2% year on year to 6th place in the world with net individual assets of about 96,000 euros. But interestingly, and probably not surprisingly, this report also showed that 45% of all of Asia's wealth is held by the Chinese. Again, as I said, not very surprising when you consider their population size, and also demonstrates why they're pretty comfortable throwing their weight around the world economy, despite the fact that a huge percentage of their population is still living in poverty. So anyway, what does it all mean? And more importantly, how does it translate and how does it affect me as a Westerner foreigner living here in Taiwan, and indeed other Westerners and foreigners that will choose to come and make a life here? Well, seeing that the vast majority of Westerners here in Taiwan are English teachers, again, many of them who are working for privately owned cram schools, many of whose bosses are part of that upper, wealthier class that is pushing the net individual asset average so astronomically high. It means at a very basic level that the country as a whole is doing pretty well, and there's probably always going to be jobs for you, especially as a Westerner coming to teach English in one of these privately owned cram schools. Apart from the fact, of course, that AI and robots are going to come steal all of our jobs over the next 15 years and send us into a dog-eat-dog, man-on-man, every man for himself human apocalypse that will see the end of the world. But again, that's probably a topic for another video. But one of the major beauties of Taiwan is that it rewards hard work at whatever level of the career pyramid you are in. And yes, of course, this report gives you an average figure for each individual person, but that is by no means the median average. There are some super rich people here that would pity anybody with $3.3 million, and I'm sure there are lots of people at the lower end of the scale, myself probably included, that would love to have $3.3 million worth of assets. It's just a report that basically demonstrates how Taiwan as a whole is getting richer. Yes, the balance may be in the wrong place, and yes, many people may disagree with the fact that many people can become that rich that they skew the net individual assets for a whole country. This report just shows that Taiwan is getting stronger. There are countries around the world that are weakening, their economies are weakening, but on an individual level, Taiwan is actually improving, getting more successful, and building a future for itself. I'm definitely waffling now, but basically what I want to say is, if you're a foreigner watching this from overseas and you're thinking about making a change, thinking of traveling to Asia to teach a bit of English, then Taiwan is definitely one of the best options for you. You can come here, work hard, make a bit of money, have an amazing experience, and hopefully affect those around you and bring something amazing to your students and also any friends that you may meet. But anyway, if you've got anything to add onto the topic, any questions or any comments, or indeed if you just want to shout obscenities at me in caps lock for calling Taiwan a country, then the comment section is right there for you. I welcome all comments, positive and negative. This is definitely not a dictatorship. We are definitely running a democracy here on this channel. And I don't know what I'm talking about now. What I'm going to do is quickly remind you, go check out my Instagram for daily photos and updates and shenanigans around Taiwan. And of course, Facebook and Patreon, if that's your cup of tea. Go check it out. Come say hello. I'm always happy to meet new subscribers. I think that's pretty much it. I'm going to say thanks to you for watching. Thanks to Taiwan. Thanks to everybody in Taiwan for working so hard. Whatever you are doing in Taiwan, however much you're worth, basically not important. Stay happy, look after each other, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. I filmed on the green screen today because there was a typhoon coming and I didn't want to go risk it outside. As it happens, the weather is absolutely glorious. But yeah, green screen today. I'll be back outside on the streets in the next one. Thanks, guys. I'm sure that the people who are watching right now are the super fans, the ones that really stay to the end. So I really appreciate you being here. Look after yourselves. See you next time in My Life in Taiwan. Peace.